Well, and we always tell moms, you deserve to take care of yourself, period.
Yes.
However, if you need a little extra impetus to make you take care of yourself because then your kids will see that and they will take care of themselves.
And they will take care of you.
Ooh, that's Kathy Cano-Murillo, also known as the Crafty Chica, and she is our special guest on today's Harness the Power of Planning podcast, where we talk about creativity and its power to help you with self-discovery. And Kathy's going to be a guest on our upcoming event, Mama Self-Love Bootcamp. We'll talk about that and much more on the Harness the Power of Planning podcast, starting now. Hey! Hi. Happy Thursday, everyone. You are here with Beyond Your Wildest Dreams, and we have a special guest today. So as usual, I'm Alegre.
I'm Natasha.
And our special guest is Kathy Cano-Murillo, also known as the Crafty Chica. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi.
We're so glad you could join us.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
We're so excited because we are putting on this event in July, because we always wanted to do a Mother's Day event. But I mean, why is Mother's Day in May anyway? It's like with graduations and recitals and
oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right. And sometimes Easter is in May too. Like it gets wild.
It's like, let's celebrate you, but not too much. So
yes, it should be in June. June is a good month.
Yeah, right. That's right.
The fathers get June. So.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Fathers get June.
So that's why we are doing our Mother's Day event in July 28th. And actually July, I don't know, Kathy, if you know this, I know we kind of spoke about it, but we've spoken about so many things. July is actually National Rebuild Your Life Month.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, which is what inspired us, because once you have kids, well, Kathy is a mom and a Nana Chica as well.
Yes, I just became Nana Chica in the past year, so it's been a fun journey.
Congrats.
That's so exciting.
I'm so looking forward to that, that level of achievement unlocked. I'm looking forward to that.
You want that badge?
I just, I remember saying to my husband, I'm like, can we just skip the having kids part and go straight to grandparents? He's like, I think you got to have the kids first. I was like, okay. Because being a grandparent looks so dope.
Yes, it's fun. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So I can't wait to hear about that. But just to finish the thought, so we're doing this event called Mama Self-Love Bootcamp, because who doesn't love camp? And Mama needs more self-love.
You can go to that QR code right there.
Oh, yeah. In the top corner. Technology can be helpful sometimes. Mm-hmm. And Kathy is one of our quick win experts, because we know as moms, one of the reasons why we don't give ourselves enough self-love is sometimes because we say, oh, I don't have time to do whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
And so we have these lovely quick win experts who are going to give us in 15 minutes, give you something tangible that you can use to increase the self-care and self-love in your day. So we're super excited about that. So it's a perfect gift for yourself or the mama in your life. But before we get into what you're going to be doing as a quick win expert, Kathy, tell us a little bit about your journey as a creative entrepreneur. I know you've been doing Crafty Chica for a couple decades. You have many, many books, including one on Frida Kahlo.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about your journey.
Well, I have just always been a hyper creative person ever since I was in grade school. And I knew that the times that I was happiest and most successful and most of service to people was when I was doing what I really loved to do, which was making things, writing stories, sharing all of that. And I was blessed enough to find a life partner, my husband, who has that same kind of mindset. And when we got married, we were like, okay, you want to do music and art. I want to do writing and art. Let's build a life doing these things. And we went into building our life with that as our goal. So, having that as the end goal leaves a lot of room for creativity to make it happen, because when you're a creative person, there are so many different experiences, types of paychecks, types of projects you can work on. So I made a list. Like, I wanted to write books, I wanted to have a product line, I wanted to teach workshops, I wanted to travel across the world, I wanted to create handmade pieces to sell. And I just took each one of those one by one to tackle them. And here it is 23 years later since I launched Crafty Chica, and I've been able to accomplish so many wild things, from interviewing movie stars to writing books to teaching classes in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. So it just goes to show that if you you can craft a life that you want. And that's with raising 2 kids, working full-time at the newspaper, just finding ways. Like you had mentioned earlier, how we say, oh, I don't have time for self-care, I don't have time. If we say that, we won't have time. However, if I learned that the more that I would say, I want to experience this, I want to do this, even if it wasn't immediate, it was still in the plans, and it eventually caught up with, or I eventually caught up with it. I always tell people, we have plenty of time to reach these goals and experiences that you want to have. But and so that's been the journey of my career, is just, the foundation is my website, craftychica.com, where I share all these different craft and art tutorials, sharing positivity through creativity. And because of the website, it led to social media and authoring books and teaching and designing products, designing planners and stationery and greeting cards and all different types of things. So that's where we are now.
That's amazing. Amazing that I love your Crafty Chica. You crafted your life, literally and figuratively, using craft and crafting. And it's wonderful that you've made this dedication to, you're like, this is what I love. This is where my talents lie. I'm going to nurture that. And it's really where my joy comes
Yes.
from. So, why do something else? Right.
Yes.
But what if the rest of us who, like, for me personally, love, crafty stuff, or, I loved art class as a kid, but I was never like an artist. You know what I mean? I wasn't like the best artist in the class, but I loved art class.
Same here.
It was so much fun.
Same. Yes.
Not like an excellent artist. And all through high school too, I had an opportunity to do an elective. I was like, I'll take an art class, because it really does feel like a little time bubble where you can just really get, present to what you're doing. Right now, I'm just coloring this, right? And I'm not thinking about anything else. But, outside of a structure of like school and so forth, so few times that I would allow myself to carve out the time to do that, right?
Yes.
And somebody just asked me, she's like, oh, have you ever gone to Disneyland by yourself? And I was like, yes, I did once. And guess where I found myself? In the animation studio. Yes. I went back in, like, when they teach you how to like draw Disney characters. I skipped, I did ride some rides, but I just kept going back in there. I'm like, oh, Jack Skellington, oh, Sally. Oh,
well, you're further than I am, because, what's funny is I went all through growing up, like, loving writing stories. Writing was my thing. I loved art class, but I never got good grades. My pictures never got hung on the wall. And I just believed what my teachers told me, that I wasn't special. I wasn't good. I didn't excel in crafts or art. And I carried it with me. So when I met my husband, who's an amazing artist, I was like, you take the art, I'll give you ideas. I'm not an artist. I can't draw, I can doodle. I knew I was creative and I just loved to make things. And he was like, F that teacher, like, forget what they told you. You do it. Come on, let me show you how to draw a face. And he would make me practice. And I learned that I had just carried their words with me and adopted it as my own thing. And then once he taught me to let go of that I could do whatever I wanted. And I mean, now here I am, with the greeting card line and like all of these other amazing things. So it takes work to undo what was placed upon us as a child when we were kids, and carrying it with us, like kind of like victim mentality, sort of, when really we know we love to do that. And so it's goes back to, like, we are what we tell ourselves, and not what other people tell us who we are. We know who we are. And I love that you found that in you to go, you followed your heart to end up in the animation studio. That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
I really didn't think I was going to be, but there I was. I was like, oh, I'm going to do the next one. But the thing is, though, this is what you do, and this is how you, fashioned your life. What would you say to the parents or the moms, or, the adults out there who do love to be crafty,
Yes.
who do love to do things with their hands, but they don't find opportunities to do it, or they don't carve out the time to do it? Alegre knows this, like, one of the best things I love about throwing a birthday party for my kids is that I then, like, make all the favors and all the
Yes,
signs and blah, blah, blah. My
yes.
husband's always like, can't you just buy this stuff? And I was like, but I want to make
Yes,
it. And that's part of the reason that I love.
Yes.
But then I have, like, a reason, right? Like, so I have a reason outside of myself. My kid's birthday party is coming up, so there's, like, a deadline,
Yes.
and then there's, like, a reason to do it. But outside of that, like, the rest of the year, I'm not taking time to,
Yes.
carve out some time to be creative. What would you say
Well,
to,
I think,
adults who find themselves in that
first of all,
situation?
your event in July is a perfect place to start incorporating that kind of mindset for yourself, to be around other women who are in the same place, and know that we are truly at our best when we feel happy and fulfilled, when we know we have a purpose, we're fulfilling our purpose. And it's a new skill, it's learning new skills, new experiences for this lifetime.
Yes.
So again, it goes back to saying, if you feel like you do not have time, then go through and journal your day or your week. Like, just log in where you are spending your time, even if you do it on your phone, so that you can have an overview of where your time is going. Is it too much scrolling for, an hour on TikTok? Is it like, watching reality TV shows, or, like, what is something you can take out so that you can replace with taking an online class, or going to supporting a local business in your community and taking a ceramics class or a paint and sip class? Just, it doesn't mean you have to, like, go sign up for an 8-week course. You could go take a friend and go to a paint and sip class and do a canvas painting. Just incorporate little by little. It can be as easy as getting a blank journal and getting a fine set of markers, dual tip, colorful markers, and just writing down the best thing that happened to you today, and drawing a little flower doodle around it. So you can incorporate just a little bit each day. So it doesn't have to be a big time block. It could be a little bit each day. It could be taking a class. It could be just so many different things. But the main thing is just getting in the mindset of committing that to yourself, that, yeah, I deserve this. I need some me time to put my mark on the world as Kathy, not as a mom, not as a woman, not as a Latina, not as a teacher, as Kathy. Who am I? My spirit, and making that mark on the world for you. It will feel so satisfying, and it will be better for your kids, for your families, because they're going to sense that, and they're going to be happy for you, and it will help you notice in them the things that make them happy, so you can support and encourage them as well.
Yeah, and you're modeling for them that it's beneficial for them to take this time, that they deserve to take this time. And
yes,
that's
yes.
all. I mean, not only are we moms, and that's why we focus on moms, but part of what excites me about focusing on moms is that we are modeling for the next generation. So hopefully the next generation of moms don't have to learn self-care and self-love.
Changing. Yes, we are the generation of changers, because I know that my mom, she was very loving, but and her mom, my grandmother, all of them, it's almost like a place of, there's like a lot of guilt bombs that would go on, or like, you have to sacrifice
a lot of shoulding.
or Yeah, and it's like rather than, but I read this book one time that said that we are our parents' inner child. And
Mhm.
so let's let out our mother's inner child through us and do the things that she did not allow herself to do because of the programming she grew up with of like, "Oh, you gotta sweat, life is hard, you don't have
Yeah.
time for anything
Right.
but work and worry and, serving everybody else." Like, we love our moms for that they gave so much to us, and now we can serve as their inner child coming out to have some self-love as well.
Absolutely. And I also loved you said our favorite four-letter word early in when you were responding, you said the word plan, right? With a
Uh-huh.
plan, anything's possible. Like even looking at all of your books, which I love that you have novels as well as craft books. I think that's so cool. I
Uh-huh.
could talk to you forever about it. But I think another great idea would just be to get one of your books and do one craft a day or one craft a
Yes.
and just, just do a little bit of creativity every day. I heard a great anecdote, maybe you've heard this before, that a potting teacher he split the class into 2. Have you heard this story? He split the class he split the
No.
class into 2, and he told one half the class, "I want you to make 10 pots in 10 days." And he told the other side, "I want you to make 1 pot in 10 days." And so, of course, the side that only had 1 pot to focus on, they really just were, like, trying to get it just perfect, whereas the ones who had to
Mhm.
do 10 pots in 10 days, they just had to do. They had to do, and at the end of the 10 days, the potter judged what was the best artwork, which were the best pots, and it was the students who had done 10 pots a day because
Mhm.
they learned by doing, whereas the
Yes.
other students were stuck in their heads, like, "But what's the
Yes.
perfect pot?"
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
And
yes. I can relate to that so much. Times like, one of the branches of my businesses is doing client work. So a client will order, like I had a HGTV, I have some stuff coming up with this texture paint I hadn't worked with. And if I just did one project, I would totally fall apart.
right.
To have supplies 5 and then I can choose the best one. It allows me to play, experiment, get used to it,
Mm.
find a vibe with it, and then pick out the best one. Being teaching art and craft, I get people sometimes right when they start, I don't have a creative bone in my body, or I'm not creative, and I'm like, why are you putting that upon yourself? Like everybody's creative. Like, of course, if you've never done it before, you're gonna start at Kung Fu Panda, but then once you do it once, then you can say, "Okay, I know what to do better next time, so I'll have a better result." It's with
Yeah,
anything makes progress. And
yes.
so it
Mm-hmm.
I totally can relate to the 10 pots because it gives you time to go through and experiment and pick out the best one. I love that.
Yeah, and it also just, like, stimulates your brain and body to I mean, I know that when I'm being creative, sometimes I do things with my hands and I don't even it wasn't even a conscious thought. It was just something that came out in my hands. And so just to have that much work of 10 pots, I could just imagine your hands are just starting to do their
Uh-huh.
own thing. They're finding their own rhythm.
You don't have time to second guess or overthink.
Yeah. So a funny thing I found out about you from perusing your website, Kathy, is that you like the same planner that we like.
Oh my gosh, yes, I just got it. I
Yes.
love it.
Right.
I
So
was
let
like,
me
"Oh my
tell
Yeah.
gosh,
you,
this is so meant to be." Like
yes. So it's funny
Amazing.
is,
Yeah.
2 last month, I was a speaker at the planner conference called Go Wild. I don't know if you guys have
oh,
heard of it.
that's our yes, it's
It
goals. It's goals for us.
Yes, it was amazing, and people planning, like, what are they a whole conference just for planners, like, what are they planning? I wanna go, but you know what I realized was that pla and I even designed 2 planners for Barnes& and Noble, but I didn't use them in this way, and now I do, is people use their planners if you're not into scrapbooking, if you feel like you don't have time to take a pottery class or you don't want to, in their planner, it was all
Oh yeah.
colored markers, and they would take 1 week and just put fun stickers like, oh, dentist appointment. Let me see if I have a sticker with a tooth on it, and like, oh, this time we went to the park. And it was just so free form, living in the present of documenting, some journaling, but script about documenting the past, and journaling and manifesting is about our future. But working on these planners, like I saw everyone was like making the most of those routine moments that normally we just forget about, and making them somewhat memorable. And it was just so fun to see everyone journaling. Like if someone said a cool quote, they would write it down and put a doodle around it, and they'd pick it up and tape it, and really cool. So I came back so inspired, writing an article on planners, and I came across that planner. And the man, because I have a planner where I write in it as my future self, like all of these things, like, oh, my Netflix special comes out, and just an example, or whatever. But I'm writing it like it's right now, like it really happened. And a friend of mine was like, that's a thing, it's called scripting. So when I saw that planner, I'm like, oh my God, I like bought it immediately, and I love it.
Yeah, I've been using this planner for 7-8 years. And I mean, part of what I love about it is just from the cover, right? It's just like, it feels like a talisman, right? It's just so fun to pick up. But I also do love that it's big enough so that I can, because I used to have a gratitude journal, a note-taking journal, and a calendar. And I would never know where any of them were because there were so many of them. So the beauty of having a big planner like this is it's big enough to, do my calendaring, obviously, because it's calendars, but I also kind of use it as a scrapbook, right? I'll just paste things in that my daughter makes for me and stuff. But then I can also write down my thoughts, like on, like you're saying, like, oh, this quote or this memory. And yeah, it's just, I mean, really, it becomes my life. It's like my life for this. This is me 2024. And yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
I know. I bought it on a whim, and those late night purchases. And I am so glad I did, because it goes so deep for things that we normally don't give ourselves permission to think about. And so yes, I love it. I'm so glad you like it too. And they have so many different versions of it. Did you notice that?
Yeah, they do. I've had a number of different styles over the years.
Yeah, we should put a link so people can check it out.
Yes, absolutely. We actually have our favorite, I'll put it in, like our favorite planning tools that make planning fun, because, when you make something fun, you're much more likely to make it a habit. It's just what the brain science shows. So, like it reduces the friction. And that's why we always say our first tip for anyone who's interested in starting to use a planner is to pick a planner that you just like the look of, because you want to pick it up. You want to spend time with it.
Yeah, it draws in. Yes, for sure. And I love that you mentioned too, and this is one of the things that we practice on a monthly basis with our alumni, is going ahead and celebrating the small things, celebrating the mundane, right? And making it into
little victories.
And you said like making them memorable, right? So, and celebrating big, big wins, of course, but small wins too. Like you mentioned the tooth, your kid having a good report from the dentist, right? No cavities, mom. Great. Celebrate that, right? That's something that's worth acknowledgement.
And even getting like one of those little, like a little sprocket, like HP has those little sprocket or printers. So you can like really, I'll like print off pictures from my phone onto the sprocket, and it has a sticky back, so I can put that in my planner.
Cute.
And I can actually take the photo off of my phone and put it someplace where it is so fun to go back and look at previous pages. And do you guys do vision boards?
Yes,
So
we call them action boards.
So what I did different this year was I took a calendar a wall calendar, and I have been decorating it month by month ahead of time.
Oh,
So
cool.
I did January and February, and then I did March and April, and then I did May. So it allows me to look at it every day, and it's so exciting to flip to a new month and see all these new things. Some of them I bring into from past months into the current month, but I also add new things in there too. And it's just such a great way to board every day and look at it. And it's fun to work on it a month or a month or two ahead, because a lot of times with vision boards, we do it at the beginning of the year, which is great to have like a big overall one, and then look at it at the end of the year of things that happen. But it's also, I love to incorporate that in everyday lifestyle type of things by having a wall calendar and doing the to-do list. And I'm really big on to-do list every day. And it just, all of it comes together. And I feel like the more that you do that and have like your daily to-do list, putting something on there, like,
You're speaking our language, Kathy.
You're talking
Yes.
our language big time.
It helps to change the track that plays in your head of how
Yes.
you perceive the world. And by just doing that a little bit every day, it just helps. And it helps steer the ship to a brighter direction.
That's awesome. I love this idea of expanding your action board. Well, we call our vision boards action boards. And going ahead and putting that on the monthly level. A, it gives you an opportunity to be creative, and B, it really like you really get to update your vision for yourself, right? And we definitely advocate for keeping your action board or vision board, somewhere. It's not just like, oh, put it in a closet after you're done, or like Allegra's done it where she's got, it's the wallpaper on her phone, it's the wallpaper on her laptop, and it's in other places too. But this is a great way to incorporate that same idea of putting it on your wall calendar. Now, let me ask you. So you go ahead and collage over the top.
You want to hear another one I do?
Yeah.
So another thing, because I'm all about, doing stuff like this. So another thing I'll do is I'll get like a big hardback, maybe a business book. I did a book called Love. It was just all about romantic relationships through time. A beautiful hardback book. And I decorated the pages in there. I wrote love notes inside of there of not just like romantic love for my husband or whatever, but just love for everything that I wanted to bring into my life. I folded them up and I put them in the book, and I found it years later, and all of those things happened, and it was so fun to rediscover that book. And so sometimes there's different ways you can enjoy. You could take a book and fill it, decorate the pages, tape in it, go to Goodwill or thrift store, find like a chunky hardback book, decorate it, write notes, journal in it, and put it away, and then come back to it the next year and open it and just continue. I have a journal here I've had for 10 years. And I savor it, and I use it for practice, for journaling. I take it with me if I leave the country. Like, you take the act of journaling and note-taking, all of that, as something sacred for yourself. Like, we have our to-do list, which is every day, but this is like the bigger ones is about life. We have a long road ahead of us to enjoy, of things to experience. And the more that you can get specific on those experiences that you want to have, it increases the odds of you actually having them come into your life or incorporating them into your plans. So yes, take note of the small things every day, but also embrace what is possible for the future.
Very good point.
Yes.
Both of those are really good points. And the idea of like, I like that you go back to this journal, that you take this journal with you, and and it's and that you revisit it and you add to it.
Yes.
And it's amazing to go back and look at what has transpired, right? It's
like, it has stickers all over it.
It looks,
and you can see where, I like tape things in it. I do, practice sessions in it, different I even have people decorate inside of it for me or write a note. It's just like a fun, that's more of like, okay, I'm going to take 30 minutes today and I'm going to decorate a page in my journal. And I also use it if I'm painting and I have extra paint, I'll just throw it on a page so that I can go back to it and decorate it later. And then the acrylic paint pens, Posca markers, any kind of acrylic paint pens are so good to have for decorating things.
Did you say pasta markers?
Posca. They're Posca.
I thought
they are.
I was like, what's a pasta marker? I was like, what? Tell me more. Do we eat these? What goes on?
So they're paint pens, and what makes them different, here's a big one, is it's actually acrylic paint in a pen.
Nice.
And so you can paint on glass, you can paint on plastic, wood,
on rocks.
And,
you see people do mandala rocks all the time.
Yes. So if you don't want to use a paintbrush and water, you could just use these paint pens. And people use them like to draw on shoes or purses or glassware, any of it. It's just a really cool alternative, and it's so fun to use in journaling. It works on any type of surface. So if it's vellum or anything kind of slick, it will still work on there.
Cool.
But it's just really, really fun.
That sounds
well. And what I love about what you're saying too is you're talking about merging envisioning for your future and creativity. And really what I find is when you get into it, it becomes like a meditation. So it feels good in so many ways when you get into this practice.
Exactly. And this is my to-do list that I have every day. It says living my best life. And it has the podcast thing for today, first thing on there. And then, so I do this every day of writing down what at least 3 things to accomplish the next day. And I always include something fun in there. And then, the bigger journal can be like maybe once a month or something, but the planner is kind of every other day. Where the thing with the planner is you really have to commit to yourself to say, I'm going to make time to open this and decorate a page or a spread or to write something in there, because it's so easy to drop the habit. And then it's the end of the year. You're like, oh, I have 3 blank planners and they expire.
Right. Yep.
Well, and we always tell people like, you just do a little bit at a time. I didn't get to the point where I was like crafting in here and doing memories in here. Like I started using it as a calendar, like most people do. And then I kind of like, okay, I'm ready now to take it to the next level. And, you mentioned that you used to say that you didn't have a creative bone in your body. So you didn't become the Crafty Chica overnight. You became the Crafty Chica over years, and now you're just the craftier Chica. I think you need to change.
Yes. And I think that's why mommy learning, like I didn't stop because I wasn't good. I share fails all the time, get feedback from people how to do it correctly, and it's just letting go of that perfection mindset of wanting to look like a perfectionist. And if I know something, I will teach it. But if I'm learning something, I will tell people, 3rd try with this. Does anyone know what I'm doing wrong? That helps a lot of creating community, is just being transparent together.
Yeah, for real. And giving people permission to have something not look great and not turn out perfect. I think there's a lot of pressure in this Instagram worthy world. Where if it's not looking perfect, it doesn't come out like Instagram worthy, then it's not worth doing, or you definitely don't want to share it. You don't want people to see you do well. So the fact that you're saying, hey, I'm doing this imperfectly. Come along with me and let's do it imperfectly together.
Yes. Yeah, let's learn together.
I'm going to show some imperfect artwork right here. This is one of my...
Oh, I love it.
I would never call myself an artist, but I like to do these drawings. They're called neurographics. And they have directions that go with it. They're like 4 steps. And everything... Every work comes out different, but it's just, I find it so meditative and fun. And sometimes I do one that I really like this one.
I love it. And yes, you are an artist. We're all, there's
Well,
no
I'm a
rules
creative
on
person. I know, but I'm not.
yes, or I like to say hyper creative, when you
Yeah.
just want to do all the things and you can't decide. Like I literally have nights where I cannot fall asleep because I'm so excited for the next day of the stuff I'm going to work on. It's so corny, but yeah, I get like that kind of I don't know, creativity, anxiety of like, oh, I wish I didn't have to go to bed.
Oh,
Darn
yeah.
sleep. Sleep gets in the way.
I just want to make stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Natasha and I also, like, Natasha sings in a band. I do stand-up comedy for fun. So we hear you. We exercise
I
the
love it.
creative.
I love it.
So we're really excited. On July 28th, Kathy's going to be leading you in a craft that will help with manifestation and visualization. That's all I'm
Yes.
going to say, because you're going to have to come find it for yourself.
Yes, I put this special project together exclusively for this event for moms who this is going to help you tap into finding your soul language, what makes you happy, and creating that time. And you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. So please sign up to join us.
Yes, sign up to join us. And so one last thing I just want to ask you, as a mama chica and a nana chica, how have you seen what living your authentic creative life has led to for your daughter or son?
Oh, yes, it has made a huge impact. So my son, both the kids, when they turned 16, I bought them their own URLs because they both were very creative. My son is the geek
That's so
life,
cool.
and his is on gaming. So he ran a whole community of like a media site all about gaming, cosplay, board games. He went on to launch his own tabletop role play game called Emerald Templars, and he did really great at his Kickstarter. So he's involved in that world. My daughter, she grew up, she started doing YouTube videos when she was 16, got hired by different craft companies to do, decorate your shoes and do tie-dye. So
Fun.
she went on, her goal was to work at BuzzFeed, and she landed that job, and she was there for about 6 years.
Wow.
And now she is a creativepreneur also. So she lives in Los Angeles, and she's still doing her thing as well. So I think by both of them seeing my husband and I, he has a band and is an artist, it was just normal for them. And I remember them when they were younger saying, so when are you guys going to get like regular jobs? Like, and because my job growing up, I worked as an entertainment reporter at the newspaper. So it was movie screenings and concert reviews and going to fancy hotels to interview The Rock or, different actors or actresses. And they're like, what do you do for a living? And so I love that now both of them are in that world as well with what they love to do. And that is, I feel like, the best thing you can do as a parent is to pay attention to your kids of where their interests are, because that is their unfiltered essence of what they want to do, what they came into this world with. So if it's writing or music or creativity, I know society a lot of time pushes us to think, oh, they have to follow this linear path of, college and a job and a loan and a car note and when really we can create what are a modular thing, like whatever we want to do, and teaching our kids, the different resources and paths that are out there to help them achieve their happiness and to sustain and thrive, and all of that is the best thing we can do. So I'm really grateful that my husband and I, it was tough because the reason why we leaned into our kids was because we came from parents that were like, you can't make a living as a musician. You can't make a living as a writer or artist. So it was our test. Like, are we going to put that on our kids? Even though I was like, oh my God, when my daughter, she got a job at ASU, got the offer at BuzzFeed for a residency, or her college paid for, with this fabulous job. And I'm like, oh my God, the universe is testing me. And I had to say, Kathy, if this was you, what would you want your parents to do? And I said, Maya, we will co-sign on a car for you. I found a friend who let her sleep in her craft room while she first got, or the first 6 months she was there. Really have to just think of like, what's the best path to help? And she's thriving. Both the kids are doing awesome. And so it's like, whew, but parenting never ends. Never ends.
Ooh, that's scary.
Yeah.
But I've heard that before.
Well, and we
Yeah.
always tell moms, you deserve to take care of yourself, period.
Yes.
However, if you need a little extra impetus to make you take care of yourself, because then your kids will see that and they will take care
Yes.
of themselves.
And
So-
they will take care of you. It's very the cycle.
Yeah.
Cortez from Pear Mama, she brought me to tears one time because she has 6 kids. And here we go, raising our kids, giving everything, pouring everything into them. And then her kids became adults, and she had a low point in her life where she was struggling, and her kids came and took care of her and supported her and poured. And that was just so beautiful. And now that my kids are a little bit older, I've had that also where, when I've had my vulnerable moments, they were the ones who stepped up to come and help hold me, let me cry on their shoulders and tell me everything's going to be okay. So we pour into them, and ultimately they will give back to us. Like, it's just unspoken, so it is a beautiful cycle of parenting and children, and it makes us think of our parents and the way we care for them and give to them. It's goes around like.
Such a wonderful message to end on.
Wonderful. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today, and join us at Mama Self-Love Boot Camp, where you can do this exciting exclusive craft that Kathy has created. And tell us where we can find you.
Yes, and Chica, or go to my website if you need craft ideas, anything. And I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for July.
And I can't wait to get some of your books. There's so many that I want to get. I'm going to add them all to my list. So thank you so much. And thank you for joining us here.
And dream wild, wild dreamers.
Thanks for joining us for the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen.